Okay, so I want you guys to be just hearing firsthand from those who went to the training, because really we're all going to have different takeaways. We're all going to catch something different. Maybe somebody's going to be, more impactful than somebody else. And so there was lots of great training. And so really just want you guys to hear from each of them. I'm going to share something, and then we're going to wrap up from there. So I'm going to let Tara Johnson, she's going to go first. So Tara, if you want to unmute and take it away with your takeaway, that would be great.
Awesome. Thanks, Miss. Well, I was going to share 2 quotes and then one additional thought. And so the first one was from the Friday training, and it was just, and I didn't write down who said these, so I can't give credit, but it talked, the person just said, think investment, not about the hourly wage. And as somebody who spent almost a decade in a retail business where most people were getting paid by an hour, or even with my salary, I was calculating like how many dollars I was making per hour. And that's not what this is about. If you are in this business because you are looking to make an hourly wage, you're in the wrong business, because this is about investing in people. It's about, it's a long-term process. It's not short-term. You're going to see some short-term benefits. You're going to see some short-term growth, but the money and the success is really going to come because you've invested time, and time in serving other people. The second quote and takeaway that I took was something that the keynote speaker actually shared that she had heard from somebody else. And it just said, when nothing is happening, everything is happening. And to me, you can really take that 2 different ways. One is if you're doing nothing, everything is happening because nothing is happening. But the way that she intended it and the way that I took it is when nothing is happening, meaning you're not seeing fruit. You're not seeing people join your team. You're not seeing people become preferred clients. Like, things are still happening. Everything is still happening. So you have to be willing to continue to invest. You have to be willing to continue to put in the work, share the overviews, ask people to host, because you just never know whether it is somebody watching on social media, or it's just a simple conversation that somebody overhears, or it's a conversation that you have with somebody. People are listening to your words, and they're waiting and wanting to know what you're believing. And so once you choose to do this, then you need to believe wholeheartedly that this is the right thing for you to be doing. And then you go about that really with no shame, like unashamed at what you've chosen to do. So those are really the 2 biggest things. The third thing that I wanted to share was not really like a specific takeaway that was shared from stage, but it's just really, I'm reminded every time that I leave one of these events about the culture of Arbonne. And I have developed some amazing relationships through this business with people from Georgia and North Carolina, and even here in Louisville that I don't get to see very often. But I get to see them at these Arbonne events. And for those of you that are just looking to belong, you're looking for a community, you're looking for people who will believe in you and speak life into you and ask you how you are and actually want to know the answer and then spend the time to listen. This is where you're going to find it. And so if you're new or you haven't plugged in a ton, even here, like this is the place to get started plugging in and getting started to build relationships, because they will give back to you more than you will ever be willing or believe that will happen. So that's what I was going to share. That's it, Miss. Do you want me to pass it off, or are you going to pass it off?
That's awesome. No, that's great. I mean, I might make comments on people's takeaways. And so, yes, I loved what you shared. And I do want to say that was one thing I was thinking about too yesterday, because I knew we were going to have this call, and I knew that those of you that didn't get to go or didn't choose to travel to Nashville, that you would get the takeaways, but there is something that you don't get by you do miss out on it when you don't travel to the events, when you don't make the investment, when you don't carve out the time. There's just an energy, there's relationship building, and you might have heard something very different than what one of us is going to share tonight. So I'm just going to encourage you guys, as you move forward in your business, when there's opportunities to plug in locally live. When I say local, I mean within a 3 to 4 hour drive, do that. make the sacrifice, figure out how to get it done, because it's absolutely so invaluable to your business. So yes, I'm going to pass it off. So if Amy or Anne Marie or Edie, Scott or Lori, if any of you all want to unmute and start, we would love that.
All righty. Hello.
Hello, you're home.
I'm home.
Stuck in the storm. A couple of them got stuck in the storm to spend the night in Cincinnati. So I'm so glad you got home. I'm sure you are too.
I am. I'm happy to be home.
Good.
Yeah, this was my first event, and it was I was nervous. I was scared. I was excited. I was, all the above. I'm kind of an introvert until you get to know me. But I sat around and I just watched and I observed, and the passion that everyone has for Arbonne is amazing to me. That gave me chills. Listening to all of those stories, their personal stories, that made me tear up several times. Just the kindness that I saw from strangers, people that didn't even know me, that was super cool. And there was a speaker up there, and I don't remember who she was, but this really spoke to me because I do have this issue. She said she got this from one of her millennials. She didn't say the whole phrase, but she was like, I think it was a hashtag F the fear. And I'm like, oh my God, I wrote that in my little notebook because that's something I need to work on. And that absolutely just gave me a little bit of fire to just say, you know what, you're right. I don't need to fear. I need to keep on. I need to not give up. I need to continue to ask. I'm going to be told no 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 times. That's okay. Keep on, because you never know when the time is going to be right for these other individuals that need Arbonne and that can benefit from Arbonne.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I do want to give you a little shout out. So sometimes we wait to go to events, or we wait to travel when we have a team with, that can go with us, or we want to go in a group. And I just want to commend you, Anne Marie, for being brave. You drove all the way from Michigan to Louisville on Thursday morning, and then you got in the car and drove to Nashville, and you did not know a soul. And the one person that you did know, Lori, she had training all day Friday, so you just stepped out and hung out with 2 new consultants that you didn't know as well. And I just love that. And you got value from that. You made new friendships and relationships. And so this, if you guys are ever feeling, if maybe you live in the city or a place where you're like, I don't really know anybody, or if I'm going to go to a Discover Arbonne, I'm going to have to go by myself. It's okay. Just use Anne Marie's example and her courage to go first, go alone. And then the blessings come for being brave and stepping out in that. So thanks so much, Anne Marie, for sharing. All right. Who would like to share next? Just unmute and start chatting away.
I can go.
Awesome.
Okay. I'm looking at myself and you're like, oh my God, my dark eyes. Sorry. I still am going on like 3 hours sleep. So it's just, it's crazy.
Yes. Amy, for those of you that I'm just going to tout your horn, her and Scott ended up getting stuck sitting on the highway for over 6 hours last night. They did not get home till 6 this morning. So the trip should have taken how long, Amy?
About 4.5 hours.
And it took how long?
Over 10.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no more than, yeah.
Probably more like 12, really.
12, yeah, probably closer to that, yeah.
Anyways, all right, well, tell us.
No, oh my God, no. Scott's texting me. He's right, I can't add 14. We left at 3:30. Yeah.
14 hours, yeah. Well, you're
I'm too tired. Anyway, honestly, I was already thinking about this. I'm like, oh my God, I know exactly what I want to talk about. First off, I think it is quit benching your best player. And I think I have got to get out there. I think, and I wrote this down from more than one thing, quit saying, why is my team not doing this? What am I doing? I looked at that today and I was looking at my the QB, and I'm like, okay, mine compared to everybody else's. And I think I've kind of set a new goal for mine that needs to be at least double or triple what everybody else is doing, myself. And quit, quit. And I wrote this down again. Like I said, I wrote so many things down, but I think that you have to, and the pharmacy, I did this. You have to be a leader. If you are not a leader and you don't lead by example, no one else is going to follow you. No one else is going to want to win. Yeah, the Mercedes sounds great, but if you're not actually running for it, nobody's going to be running behind you or trying to pass you up for it. You have to be that leader. You have to be in the game if anything is going to happen. And I think stop whining, start winning. Quit saying, why is this person not doing anything? Why is this leg pretty much falling off? No, quit that. Like I said, keep looking. How many am I sponsoring compared to how many are other people sponsoring? That's huge. I mean, I've got, like, if I wasn't so tired today, like I had a whole list of steps today. I've done some, but not as much as I wanted. But I'm worried some of my texts don't make sense because I'm tired. So I'm going to revise them tomorrow when I'm at the dentist with the kids waiting on them. And let me see here. I wrote down something else too. Be somewhere you have never been before by going out of your comfort zone. And I think that's huge. Quit being afraid about what people think about you, because they really don't care. My husband always says this when somebody's coming over. I'm like, oh my God, the house isn't perfect, whatever. He said, the people that mind don't matter, and the people that matter don't mind. And it's true. It's the same thing. Even our friend that we had lunch with, we kind of joked around. She said, oh, you guys look great. And Scott kept saying, it's our fun, but we really didn't try to go after her again when we probably should have, even though we were maybe not so subtly, doing it. But the thing is, quit worrying about it. We have something really to offer people, and it is a gift. If they don't choose to open it up, then that's their problem. But I think that the more people we try to get out to and the more people we touch, the better it's going to help everybody. Yep. And also, just so you know, Scott's having trouble unmuting himself. I don't know what's going on. So when you're ready for him, if you can unmute him, that would be great.
Yep, I sure can. He must, I bet he has a phone number. Okay. Yep. All right, Scott.
Yeah, he's
okay, I'm unmuted.
You're perfect. You're unmuted. You're up, buddy.
I don't know what to say. No, I'm just kidding. Long trip. We made it. Thank God. It was a great experience. Listening to everyone just tell their stories from beginning to end. It was unbelievable. Everybody was different. Everybody had a different perspective on how to do things, sort of. And so I think it inspired me to write what I wrote today, and you can see it on Facebook. It's kind of like you have to make it your own and get people to join that and serve those people. And like Amy said, don't stop. You got to keep going for other people, because you don't know what those other people are going to do that you've already gotten. So it was great. I had a great time, and I thank Amy and Missy for all that you've done.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Scott. I'm going to give you a shout out. So 2 things. Scott, I loved what you just said there about you have to make it your own and go write your story. I heard probably a year or so ago an MVP get up and say, if you're finding that you can't find someone in Arbonne, you kind of can't find a story that's your story, or you kind of can't find that person that you're like, yes, that's me and they did it, and so I can do it. She just said, if you can't find that story, then Arbonne needs your story. And so I want to just encourage you all that if you have at times thought, oh, I don't really, I see lots of different people, but I don't maybe see someone in my life, season of life, maybe in my situation with my personality or my look or from my part of the country. If you don't feel like you can find that, then all that's telling you is that there is a gap in the culture of Arbonne, and you need to stand in that gap. You need to fill it. You need to be that example of the person that nobody would have thought needed this business, but you desperately needed that business. I love that Scott is representing the male population now on our team in a very wonderful way, because that's not been something that's been as prominent in the culture of Arbonne, especially in this team that I've wanted. And so I think that's so awesome. So you go write that story and you go be that story for other people. The one thing I do want to say about Scott is that it was Friday night and we were it was kind of like just a celebration night. It was a dinner and cowboy line dancing, and we were leaving and it was about 9:00 at night. And he said, I'm just under 1,000 away from district manager. And so I said, that's 3 fit kits. You can do this, and you can do it by tomorrow at 2:00, and then you can go be recognized on stage. And don't you know it, you guys, he went to work and got it done. I think he was texting Friday night till like midnight. We were hanging out all together in a room and laughing and having a good time. And all that it showed him And this is what I told him, and this is what I want to communicate to you all, is that when you believe that you can, and you kind of have this timeline and this deadline, you can go to work to make it happen. The other thing is that not only did he promote, but now he has the authority, because he did it. He can go tell people, you can go promote in the first 45 days of your business or less, or you can close it up in the first 10 days of the month, because he did that. And so think about that in your own story. Think about, what do you want to have that authority to be able to say and to influence other people with, because that's what you get to do by the decisions that you make. So we're so pumped for Scott. He's doing an awesome job. And I know we already have 2 other gals in I think Alicia Whitfield's team that have already promoted to district manager too, which is incredible, you guys. It's just so fun to see that be happening halfway through the month. So congrats to you girls on doing that as well. So Edie or Lori, if one of you all want to unmute and share, I would love that.
I got it.
Got it.
Okay, so mine is kind of very similar to Amy's, but just what I really got out of this weekend was be willing to go first. And to not have expectations of everyone on your team. And this is always something that has kind of just been pounded into my mind ever since I started or got my first team. And I've just seen people, drop off, come on, or drop off. And I don't know, this time it just hit me a little bit harder because I'm trying to remember who it was, and I'm looking through my notes because I kind of have a lot. But someone said that you need to have, like, if you're going to be that true leader, you need to have 3 areas under you in 3 districts direct. And that just kind of like spoke volumes to me, and just how important it is to really have your district, your central district, really strong. And that's something that I've always kind of been a little bit up and down with. And so I need to be spending so much more time looking for people to join me and to not worry about everything else that's going on in my business, and just trust the system, and that people will follow me as I lead them. So that really spoke to me. And let's see. And then I loved this statement. I keep hearing the word mission and missional like all the time this year in regards to Arbonne. And at the end of, I think it was Friday's training, someone said, find your mission. And so it just kind of like hit me again. And then she said, I thought this was so cool. She said one of the things she prays every single day was, where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? And I just thought that was such a cool way, like, first of all, just to look at life like that. Like, that takes the fact that, like, it's not about you, like, and put your heart automatically in the right place for that day, knowing that where you go is where you're called to go. And so I just thought, what a great way to look at life and your business, and just trust that, like, if you're doing what you need to do and you're planting the seeds and you're going where God is calling you, then, and you don't quit, then there is no reason on earth that this is not going to completely change your life, transform you and your business and your family, and make your dreams come true. Like, it's so awesome. So that's kind of my thing. So, yep, that's it.
Sorry, I started talking and I was still muted.
You're good.
It was so funny because I knew as you guys started talking, I was like, I had a list of takeaways, and every time somebody talks, one's getting like chunked away, like, oh shoot, I gotta find another one. So but I love that, so thanks for sharing. All right, Lori, would you share your takeaways?
Yeah, hopefully I don't take up the rest of yours, because I have several that I wanted to just mention and talk about. One thing I love about Lisa Voorhees is, and she states it very clear, we get it straight, especially on the VP and the area manager talk. So I wanted to share some of the things that she shared with us, because she is very direct, and she will say, I will be kind, but we're not here to hold your hand. We're here to help you be successful. We're here to lead you to success. So if you want to be successful, you have to, listen to these things and not get all in your head. And, you know, she talked about being whiny and things like that. So I just love it that she's very direct and very, you know, kind of shakes us when we get all caught up in the weeds of stuff. A couple of the phrases that I wrote down that are always good reminders. She said, if you want to go places you've never been, you have to do the things you've never done. And that's always a good reminder that you're going to have to do something different. If you're stuck and you're in a spot that you don't feel like you're moving forward, you're going to have to do something different. That was one thing. She also said, when your pain becomes greater than your fear, you will change. And that was true in my life. The pain had to become greater, so I was willing to go forward and face the fear. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And you still will be fearful as you take those steps forward, but you still have to take the steps. You're still going to feel it. That feeling really doesn't go away. It gets easier, but it doesn't go away, but we still have to do it if we're going to get to that other side. So that was one thing that I really liked. And in general, I loved what Teresa Marsh talked about on that Friday. She talked about creating a vision and having clear vision. She had a great slide that the word vision was very clear and all the other words were kind of blurred out. And she said, when your vision is so clear, everything else does get blurred out. And she had us go through an exercise where we wrote down, you know, you write down in your person. And I loved this exercise. I found it very easy. Once I started writing, I was writing so fast. I filled up the whole page, but we all have visions, and it looked like a Pinterest page. I'm sure many of you have Pinterest. Those are truly visions that you have for your kitchen or for your house or for your health or for your hair. You have clear visions of what you want. You have to do the same thing for your business. So it's a great exercise. Sit down and write down in your words, like what you see. Who are you with? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? What are you doing? Who's going to be there? Who's, you know, whatever that is that you vision, and be very, very crystal clear. And that was something I started to do last year. I started where I would actually close my eyes and picture what it felt like to put the dress on, to step on that stage, to feel and not just look at it as someone else is doing it, but something that I would be doing. And I love that. So I'm in Michigan. I'm at my parents' house, and I listened to the book Mach 2 the whole way up today. And there's a whole chapter in that book that by Richard Blissbrook that he talked about our vision that we set, like how our memory works. And we have what is reality, and then we have like the subconscious. And he said, your subconscious doesn't, if you envision yourself there, it doesn't recognize that it's something you're making up in your mind, and it will go to work to get that. So you have to be super crystal clear on your vision and what you want to happen. And when you can do that, write it down, that's why vision boards are so important. Picture where you want to be. Where are you going to be next year? Where are you going to be next month? You have to see it. You have to put those goals in front of you and visualize it. And it is such a great exercise. It's like daydreaming. You have to daydream it so real that is what your focus is. So I just loved how they let us spend quite a bit of time on that exercise. And then I'm just going to share one last thing that kind of happened in the background. And just for me personally, I shared a little bit with Edie and the team and Missy, but, you know, I'm always nervous when I get up in front and talk in front of people. And I was obviously a little nervous before this time. I was less nervous than I used to have to talk a lot with my last job, but for some reason I was less nervous, but I was still nervous. And as I was putting my notes together, I realized I was like, I've just got to get over myself. This is not about me. What I say is going to impact all the people in that room. And when I talked through some of the things which were very just like tools, it wasn't mindset, it wasn't anything. I was so glad it was things that wouldn't make me cry, because I don't like to cry in front of people. But it was impactful because I recognized Charlotte Fleming, because she had one tool that she used that worked very well for me. And afterward, I got a sweet text from her saying that it really helped to remind her that she was impacting people. And so afterward, someone took me up to introduce me to her, and she got teary-eyed, and she said years ago she went to a training many years ago with Rita Davenport, and Rita Davenport said, you will impact people's lives that you will never meet. And she said, I heard it, but I didn't quite get it. And she said, here, I did a training years ago, and I had no idea that I impacted your life. And she said, by you getting up on that stage and sharing your heart and getting over yourself and just sharing, she's like, pay it forward. You have a gift, pay it forward. She says, I am so thankful I said that. And now it's impacted you. And she said, all these people in this room, you have now impacted, and they're going to impact hundreds of people. It is a ripple effect that we are not even aware of. We have to get over, I mean, I think that's why that book that we read, Get Over Your Damn Self. It's not about you. It is about the people that you are going to impact for years to come that you will never meet, you will never know. Afterward, I was just like, yay, it's done, But I had so many people come up and say, and I don't know where they're coming from, but some people just said, thank you. And that's all they said. And I was just like, wow, okay, I must have said something. So know that when you share with something, don't think about, oh, I'm so nervous. Am I going to say the right thing? Just share from your heart. They will hear you, and they may share something 2 years from now from that you will have no idea that you impacted that person's life. So that was probably my biggest takeaway. Several of them, but that was pretty big.
Would you share with the team about when the guy kind of pulled you to the side and just thanked you for what you said? Because I think that this goes back to even what Scott said about just making it your own and finding your way, because people need your story.
Yeah. So just the gentleman that was sitting on the edge of our row came up and shook my hand and said, thank you so much. I'm in automotive, because I stated that I worked in automotive manufacturing for a while. And he said, I'm exactly in your shoes. And he said, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that it can be done with my work schedule. And he says, he said, just thank you. That's all I'm going to say. And just even throughout the day, people would walk by. Some people would just not even stop as I walked past, and they would just say, oh, thank you for that. And, you can see it in the crowd too. For the first time I saw the perspective, we're always taking notes. But when you see phones and everyone, I'd say something and they would write a note, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think that was a thing. But obviously that person that leaned down and wrote something, I said something that spoke to them, and you just never know. And I felt like I was repeating things that I've heard over and over and over, and just different ways. And I see similar notes. I have, a bazillion books with, like this with notes in it, but I may twist it one little way that's going to speak to someone else differently. So I guess, when you're facing that person, when you're getting ready to talk to that person, just don't worry about what you're going to say. Just share, like, this is what it's done for me. And you never know, it may impact them a year later or 2 years later or whatever. So I think that was the biggest in general takeaway is not thinking about yourself and just focusing on other people, and it just makes it easier and more genuine.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so they all hit some of the huge high points of the 2 days that we had there. But, I think that anytime you get to be around people who inspire you, who kind of call you to that next level, all it does is really raises you to that. You've probably read in a book or heard on a training that you are, whether you are in or out of Arbonne, you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And one of the things that I have come to appreciate in Arbonne is that we have access in trainings, through SoundClouds, through just the culture, to make some of the most amazing people in the world, some of the top 5 people we spend the most time with. Those top 5 people, they don't have to be who lives in your house. They don't have to be who you go to work with or who you're geographically connected to. It's who is getting to speak into you and over you. And in Arbonne, there is a culture, and it's so fun for me to get to go back, like Tara said, and see friends and relationships that, man, these people, like, I love them. And I'm not connected to them in any way in Arbonne. They just are a part of Arbonne as a whole. So it's fun for me, but it's also fun. Like, I love watching people like Anne-Marie and Scott who are coming into the culture for the first time. And I just love to watch them see this beautiful culture that many people don't even know is possible or even available to them to be a part of. And so I love that. A couple of the takeaways I got that stood out were from Lisa Voorhees on on Friday. She had probably 20 to 30 minutes where she was kind of kicking us in the butt. And it was one of those where it was like, you'd get a kick and you'd be like, ooh, do it again. You know, like, that hurt, that kind of hurt to hear, but I need it. Do it again. You know, it's like having a personal trainer that makes you do 10 push-ups and you're like maybe cursing under your breath as you're doing the push-ups because you're like, I hate this, I hate it, I hate it. And then you're done and you're like, okay, make me do more, because you know those are the things that are going to call you to that next level, that are going to champion you to really get to the place that you need to be. So many times in our lives, we need the encouragement. We need you're doing a great job. We celebrate you. We recognize you. And I think that as a whole, we do a good job of that. But then we also need, especially when people are saying, I have goals I want to achieve by a timeline, let's say GTC, or by the end of 2019, and they're going to cause you to be, in order for them to be accomplished, it's going to cause you to stretch. You're going to be required to do more. You need someone who's willing to love you enough to say, I'm going to love you enough to tell you what you need to do. And this is what you need to do. And that's what Lisa was willing to do for us. And one of the things that she said is, words of a leader are, so what? So what? And that is a simple phrase. I took it as, you know what? I can use this in my marriage. I can use this in my parenting. You know, it's not a so what of like, oh, I don't like what you made for dinner. Well, so what? You know, it's not that, but it's like this thought of, hey, somebody didn't want to, you know, get back to me, or somebody didn't want to jump on the virtual, or somebody wants to return their 30-day to healthy living kit. So what? So what? So what? So what? You know, that's just the level of weight that we need to carry, rejection or conflict, or just, you know, things that we're going to have to walk through. Just having that resiliency to let it bounce off you and say, you know what? So what? So what? It's okay. So what? You have to decide that nothing will take you out. And we heard that in several people's stories at the training. You just have to decide that nothing's going to take you out, because you have a destination. You know, I think about Scott and Amy, who sat on the highway for 6 hours last night. They didn't camp out there. Scott and Amy aren't living on the border of Illinois now because it took them 10 hours longer to get home than they planned to. They had a destination that they were committed to getting to. And it took 6 hours or 10 hours longer than they ever dreamt it would. They didn't give up on the destination. It just took longer. So decide that you aren't going to let things take you out, because you will always, this was a third quote, if you're taking some notes or little phrases. And these are the things, you guys, that I can tell you, when I hear things that really like connect with me, I write them on little Post-it notes or recipe cards or index cards, and I put them up in my house, because like Lori was saying, I'm going to teach myself what to think. I'm going to teach myself what to believe, because do you guys know that when we hear things, the brain does not know whether it is true or not. We assign value to it. We assign value to it. That's why at one season, time period in life, people thought the earth was flat, because the brain didn't know whether that was true or not. It was what was the value assigned to those words. And so this was the other thing about, you have to decide nothing will take you out, because you will always be offered up thoughts that don't serve you. We will always have a voice that will be saying, you're bothering people. This is silly. You're just like, you're sharing skincare. You're smarter than this. You're better than this. People are probably laughing at you. Whatever those things are, you have to silence the voices, the self-talk. There's a book called Crash the Chatterbox, which I think that title is so awesome. And it's just about silencing all of the thoughts that are being offered up to you that don't serve you, that don't serve your goal, those are the things that when Lori said the focus becomes so clear, everything else gets blurry. All of those thoughts, all of those voices become muffled, and you don't even hear them anymore because you are so set and your focus is so clear and your desire is so strong that everything else just starts to sound like wah, 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 wah. And it has no value and it has no bearing, and it in no way impacts your decision to go do the next right thing in your business. Okay. I loved Amy. I think Amy was the one that said, Lisa also said, stop whining and start winning. I think I want to use that with my kids. Stop whining, start winning. And because it's just these simple things, you guys, that we got to tell ourselves, because you are the captain of the ship. You've got to mind the mind. This gap between right here is some of the most, this is the thing that takes many people out, is their thought life. Because we act on our thought life. Our life becomes a result or a reflection of our thought life. And so stop whining, stop whining, start winning. And then the last thing that I just wanted to share was that whether you're new in Arbonne, maybe this is your first team huddle, maybe you've been around with us for a long time, I just want to circle back and re-emphasize the heart of this business. Because I heard it on Saturday from the very first person that spoke. Her name was Sharon Metzger, and she has this wonderful testimony. She's been in Arbonne, I think, since 1995, she said. So a long time. She's turning 65 years old. And she spoke on this, and she shared this principle or this value. And then what really struck me was that there was a brand new regional vice president that got up. She is a pro beach volleyball player from Southern California. Her name's Avery Bush. She is, I cannot imagine, she is more than 20 or 21 years old at the most. And she and Sharon are both VPs in Arbonne, both very different demographics, very different life experiences, very different approaches to the business. And yet both of them communicated loud and clear that the heart of this business is to go serve as many people as we can. That this is a business of serving, of loving, of finding out, how can I help you? Not, do you want to buy a 30-day fit kit, but what health concerns, what health struggles do you have? And how can I help you find a solution to that? It's not, do you want to join my team? Do you want to become a part of what I'm doing? But it's, this business can change your life. And I don't know where you have a struggle or a need or a dream or a desire that's not being fulfilled, but how can I help? How can I help connect up those dots? And so I just want you guys to know that when we honor the culture of Arbonne, we're honoring it by serving and loving others in the biggest way and the most largest capacity that we can. Okay. And so that's where it shifts from, and I think this is what Edie said too, about it takes the focus off of us. And when you take the focus of this business and these products off of yourself, it frees you to generously share, to walk with the attitude of, so what? It's okay. It's not a fit for them right now. They just don't see it. I'll circle back. I'm going to love them in the meantime. But it's just this position of, we get to go serve. We get to go help people. We get to go make other people's lives better. And what a wonderful way to make an income. I mean, what a wonderful way. And like our virtual said last week, we get to make an impact and we get to make an income. And that is what Arbonne offers each and every one of us. So thank you guys for sharing all of your nuggets and takeaways. Just business, how, like team business stuff I want to take care of really quickly. The make an impact, make a business, make an impact, make an income virtual event is going to be closed tonight. Okay. Everybody that's in the group is going to stay in the group, because only the event is closing. I have put up the next virtual for this Wednesday, which is Arbonne 30. What is it? So start adding people to that, okay? For those of you maybe that missed the post on the Facebook team page, we added 4 new consultants simply from last week's virtual. So utilize this tool. It is effective. It is validating maybe what you've already told this person many times. One of the gals that trained on some social media stuff, she said the magic happens between the 6th and the 12th ask. And that is no different whether it's in person or through a text message or Facebook Messenger. The 6th to 12th exposure, seeing of what's going on, the asking, the inviting is where the magic happens. So think about who do you need to revisit. Our next 30 Days to Healthy Living group is starting tomorrow, but then the next one is going to be starting February 4th. So this virtual, so you guys know the strategy behind this. This was well thought out. This virtual is designed to help you build your 30-dayers for the February 4th group, okay? So everybody that's currently doing 30 days, reach out and say, hey, do you have 2 or 3 friends that would like to hear a little bit more about what you're doing? We've got a cool virtual going on this Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Circle back to people that maybe are just on skincare. Circle back to people that maybe have been interested in getting the kit, but for whatever reason, they haven't pulled the trigger, okay? Work to personally invite and add a minimum of 10 people to those events, okay? Because it's important. It's another activity on your calendar. It's being provided for you. All you have to do is simply add them to the event, okay? Super simple. So I'm excited for that. Make sure that you've got your alarm set, your reminder set, because it is important for the whole group that as many of us or all of us are on as possible. It just gives great energy and connection for the lives. So that's all I wanted to share with you guys tonight. Thanks so much for hopping on. Everyone, thanks for sharing. Love you all so much. Get some sleep tonight, those of you that did not get great sleep. And we'll be kicking off. Oh, last thing that I do want to say, sorry. And if you've hopped off, it's really fine. I want you guys to know that we are actually on track to hit qualification for Nation this month. I've looked at the numbers, where our numbers are at. We typically grow at a certain percentage from where we are right now. And so I'm saying that not so that you feel like, oh gosh, Missy's wanting us to do more. I'm just telling you that because everything matters and everything counts. And a promotion like this is not just a promotion for me. A promotion like this gives you the ability to say, my friend Missy, who I could call right now, because any of you on this call right now could call me and I would answer and I would FaceTime your friend or your sister or your coworker and say, yes, I am a national vice president. Yes, I have that kind of income. Yes, she can teach you or he can teach you how to do this. It's going to validate your business in a new way that we don't currently have. And so you have to understand the power that will come in and the authority and the impact that will come into your business when this happens for all of us as a team, okay? The other thing is that when we grow to Nation, that means everybody's growing and everybody's promoting and everybody's winning, okay? So I just want you guys to know that because sometimes I think it helps to kind of know where are we at. And it gets exciting and encouraging. I know that I have always loved knowing where my upline's at and how I can contribute and be a part of that. So that was the last thing that I wanted to share. So love you all. Get some sleep tonight, and we're going to get back to it tomorrow. All right. Love y'all. Bye.